Hello guys, this is Kirk here, and I know the rosters in this game's outdated, but this is going to be a new series I'll do every year called What Teams Will I Root For in the Playoffs if Pittsburgh and Vegas don't make it or go far in the playoffs. This is going to be the first ever. This is 2021 edition, and here we go. For those who know me, I am a Penguins fan. I've been a fan since 2008 season, or should I say 2007, 2008 season, and over a decade of years of fan experience. Well, that's weird to say, and Vegas is my second favorite team. And so far, it's looking okay for the Pens. So far, they're in a playoff spot and most likely can clinch. Vegas, not so much, because they've been struggling real bad since they got Eichel in the lineup. Not saying he's a bad player, but it's just what I've noticed. But, yeah, it's not looking good for Vegas. They might clinch in a wild card spot, but we'll see what happens. But what if Pittsburgh doesn't go far, make the playoffs, and Vegas? Who will I root for? And the answers are in the gameplay. These two teams, starting off with the Florida Panthers. For years, the Panthers have had problems. They looked good on paper and just unable to get a good team until last year, this year, in the year before, I think. I could be wrong. And right now, they're first place in their division, most likely going to win the Atlantic Division and have home ice advantage for game one of the first round of the playoffs. So, Panthers is a guaranteed playoffs. So, and I'll get to the reason soon. And they either will face Boston Bruins in the wild card spot or the Washington Capitals so far. That's the way it's looking so far for the wild card spot. And reasons why I want Florida to win is because I've been wanting them to get a good team for years. I've been tired of seeing Florida struggle for years. And reason number 2 is, if they can win a Stanley Cup, it can save the team. So when they eventually, years down the line, because they're going to be good for years to come, the Panthers. But right now they're looking really dangerous and it's predicted to do some damage in the playoffs after what they traded. And now they got Claude Giroux from the Flyers as a rental. A top 6 forward that can come in handy. And I think he's a 30-goal scorer. I could be wrong. So yeah, Florida is expected to do some damage in the playoffs. But first, they need to get the monkey off their back and win a playoff series. Which they've done before, but years and years ago, I think. I believe they can beat Washington or Boston. Depends who finishes in the wild card spot. But if they do, they're gonna They're gonna have a hard time against the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. The Tampa Bay Lightning are looking to repeat, and they made some trades look like they replaced the depth they lost in their third line and fourth line. So Tampa is going to be a challenge, but if they can do it and make it to the conference final, they will either face, so far people predict Carolina, the Rangers, so far for that sinks. So it will be hard, but if Pitt can't make it or go far in the playoffs, I would like to see Florida on the East go far and win the Cup. And reason number 3, I would like to see Patrick Hornquist win a 3rd Stanley Cup, because he's with the Panthers right now and he's a former Penguin. Alright, moving on to the West. And the Western team I would like to root for if Vegas can't make it or go far in the playoffs is the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota has had an interesting history. They used to have a team called the Minnesota North Stars that made it to the finals in, I think it was 90, what year was it? I think it was 91 or 2. Could be wrong. And there's not many big reasons why I would like to see Minnesota win, mostly because Marc-Andre Fleury, I would love to see him get a 4th Stanley Cup. After how Vegas treated him and traded him well, even notifying him where he had to find out on Twitter. Reason number 2, Bill Guerin. He's done a good job putting this Minnesota Wild team together. And Bill Guerin is the GM of the Minnesota Wild, and he's a former Penguin, won a Stanley Cup with them, twice as an assistant GM with the Pens. I liked him as a player, and I really enjoyed seeing Bill Guerin stick around with the Pens for a couple of years and win 2 cups as an assistant GM. Great stuff. But I'm not a big Minnesota Wild. Well, I'm not a fan at all, but I'm not crazy for Minnesota. I don't like the team. Plus, I know they're known as the state of hockey, Minnesota. But if Vegas can't go far, or if they even make the playoffs, I will be rooting for Minnesota, mostly for Bill Guerin, because he's a great GM. He was supposed to be the future GM after Jim Rutherford retired or left, but he ended up moving on to the Minnesota Wild because he's done a good job. And reason number 1 is Marc-Andre Fleury. But it's gonna be tough for the Wild. Like, they got the assets, they got the top 6, they got the players. They got that player who's 97 who can put up 30 goals a season and is looking to do some damage in the playoffs. But they might face in the first round. So far, it's looking like it's going to be the St. Louis Blues with the Nashville Predators, who both have solid teams, who aren't really expected, but can still do stuff if it clicks. So if they can beat one of those 2 teams, it'll be okay. But the main challenge would be against a team that's looking also to get a monkey off their back, is the Colorado Avalanche, that have been predicted to win the Stanley Cup for the last few seasons by some people. And they got some really tough players that Minnesota would have to play against. They got Cam Talbot, the Wild, but if things go wrong, they got Marc-Andre Fleury. Plus, if he gets hot, he can win you a playoff series. They would have to face Colorado if Colorado makes it to the second round, and Minnesota next. So, yeah. And if they can make it past Colorado, let's say if it is Colorado that they beat in the second round, they might face either Calgary or the Edmonton Oilers, because if it's LA Kings versus Oilers are going to wipe the floor, and this is a tough pill for me to swallow because LA is still young, they're rebuilding. There's just no way LA could beat Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, even though the Oilers don't have much depth. So yeah, if it's LA Kings versus Oilers win, they would win a series. But if the West does go like this, it would be interesting. So far, the West Pacific, who is predicted to make the conference final, is the Flames and the Oilers. Anyway, that's it. These are the 2 teams, Florida and Wild. If Pitt and Vegas can't make the playoffs.